Thank you so much for tuning in to Be Relevant with Casimir Quinn. It is my honor and privilege to bring to you all tonight the most awaited show of the season. Tonight we will hear from the fellas. The guys are here to tell us all about dating in 2016. With me, I have 5 very distinguished men who will now introduce themselves. We will start with Huck.
I'm Quinton Huckabee. Work for a developer as a project manager in Chicago.
Hello, my name is Eric Hampton. I'm the public relations coordinator for 3 high schools in the south suburbs. I'm also the lead pastor of Arrow Church.
My name is Quinton Okeke. I'm a business account executive with Comcast Corporation. I also have a small business, Barnesville Hooper Catering, LLC. I'm single but actively dating.
Hello, my name is David Anderson. I am the international president for a Chinese multinational corp, about 10,000 employees. I also own some financial deal-making, private equity, and venture capital practice on the side, and I am currently married, have been for 5 years.
Hello, I'm Jawuan Sutton. I'm an attorney on the south side of Chicago. I focus primarily on real estate, estate planning, and criminal law, and my relationship status is dating actively.
Awesome. So as you can see, we have a very diverse panel who's able to answer the questions that you guys have been sending me for the past 2 weeks. So why don't we just go ahead and dig in? So let's start off with the guys that are in a relationship. Well, actually, the single guys aren't in a relationship. They're actively dating. I'm interested to know, what exactly does actively dating mean? But we'll get to that. Let's first just start off with the married fellas. How do you have the lifestyle balance with your relationship? We'll start with you, Eric.
Okay. We intentionally date. We started that way when we were just dating each other. So every week we would go to the show, go out to eat intentionally, and we just continued that pattern even though our work lives and then starting a church got a little bit busier. But we just intentionally date, we intentionally spend time together. And that's our balance, I should say. For instance, in November, we're taking a vacation. Monday through Friday, have to be back on Sunday, but we still have to balance out this lifestyle. So between work and then being bivocational with the church, it's a balance. It's a struggle, it's a challenge, but it's necessary.
Awesome. So you're making it a priority to still date your wife, although you know she's here for you.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
And I said to her last night, if it wasn't for her, there would be no church, because she gave me the green light, and maybe we can talk about that later on.
Absolutely. Okay. And how about you, David?
Well, I'm definitely not as organized as this brother. We tried to do the weekly dating thing and stuff like that, and we're actually both business professionals. So, Casimir, we both, are in our careers and building. We have a child. So basically, what we do is effectively a good example. I'm going to Austria in the next week, right? So I'm going out there to speak. Also do some business for about a week. So, she's going to join me and come out to Austria with me. Same thing when I'm traveling to China. If I think I'm going to be there more than 2 or 3 weeks, she'll come out there for 7 days. So what we've learned is, and me vice versa, when she has a corporate weekend event, something like that, I'll go with her. So we've learned to basically try to integrate kind of our business and life together. So, because we know our time is limited and things like that, so we try to do that. That's what we try to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So what I'm hearing you say is that if you have a work trip or she has a work trip, you try and use your vacation time to be there with her or her there with you.
Likewise, yeah.
And with the kid, I forgot that, I'm sorry, I didn't mention that in the intro, that you're a father. So how has that changed dynamics with your relationship?
Well, right now, it's still young, so they just do whatever we do. It's
right.
But a lot of people put their kids in the center. We just don't believe that. We believe that, we tried our best. We're not perfect at it, but to put our marriage in the center. And the kids kind of have to go with our beat type of thing. Now, people who do the opposite, this is not our value system. We're like, but the kids are going to be gone, and then we're going to have each other. And so,
very good point.
Trying to have some fun,
yes.
So.
Very nice, okay. And for my actively dating brothers, explain to me exactly what that means. And when you're actively dating, is there any level of commitment to anyone but yourself? Let's start with you, Quinton.
I think I'm relatively young, so actively dating for me means I need to get some stuff together internally before I can bring somebody else in for, you know, every single day living with them. So I don't think that, you know, me going out and having somebody, all right, I'm with you, you're with me, and I still need to do things for myself. So that's kind of why I'm actively dating still.
Okay. And with this actively dating, is there one woman or two women? Is there a max to how many girls you can involve?
You want me to put a number on this?
Well, I'm just curious. You don't have to speak to your own personal situation.
Well, I mean, I guess it's
is there
who
a max?
I connect with. Okay. It's not a number on it. It's all right. You do this, I do this. We're cool together. All right, we can hang out. We can date actively.
Nice.
But it's not a particular number that I put on it. You know.
Very nice.
So, because everybody brings something different to the table. So, I guess when that one thing comes together in one person, I'll get to these guys' point.
That's good. Nice point. How about you, Ike?
For myself, actively dating means, you know, just treading the water, seeing what's good for me, just seeing which woman that I feel like I fit with. And if the chemistry's there, then communications remains there as well. But sometimes if the chemistry's not there, we gradually drift off. But again, I'm the type of guy that court women, so I love going out. And I love checking out different venues, from different restaurants to going to not only to the movies. I think this movies is an everyday blah thing. My thing is I love not only the movies, but I love going to different sceneries around Chicago, maybe even go out of town. But it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm committed. And a lot of women get that thing. Is like I think it's a little bit far fetched when it comes down to a commitment. But for myself, dating is fun. I love dating, but until I find that right one to see a commitment, she'll know that, and that's me taking it further, a step further, as in towards courting her or perhaps meeting my family, etc.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I hate doing the movies for a first date. It's like we can't even talk. We just, you know. So then you mentioned trips, and for me personally, like if I go on a trip with a guy, we are almost together, if not already together. I'll be real, we have to be together. Right. So if you're actively dating and it's a casual thing, but you go on a trip, do you think that's sending the wrong message to her that maybe you are committed?
Well, again, it's all communication at the end of the day. When you set the right tone and she clearly knows what your tone is or where you're trying to go, then it shouldn't be any discrepancies of what you're trying to accomplish with her at the end of the day. But once you set the right tone with the young lady, then it shouldn't be any confusion between the both of you.
Okay. That's like, I can't remember who the artist is, but he says, you know what it was when you signed up. Exactly. You knew what it was. Yeah. Don't let this trip fool you.
And it's all fun at the end of the day. Drake quote.
I think that is a Drake quote. Very nice. So how about you?
Well, these two gentlemen pretty much summed it up. I think that you're trying to figure out the person's personality that you probably been texting or talking to for so long, and you're trying to make it something live and off the screen, so to speak. So actively dating means that you have enough interest to continue to talk, but now you want to see if there's chemistry between the both of you. So I'm doing that.
Great. And is there a max to your actively dating?
Sure, because there's so much time in a day. I mean, if you're a professional like I am, and these gentlemen are, you can't date all day and all weekend. So maybe a couple of people, 1 or 2 or 3 people in your life that you're trying to figure out do you want to go forward with or not. It's the max for me.
Nice. Okay. Sounds good. So once you are done actively dating, or you found the woman, as Huck said, that kind of embodies all the characteristics or majority of the characteristics that you're looking for, how do you know that she's the one? And I'm going to start off with the married men because they've already found her. So maybe they can tell us.
I came here for those answers.
or actually, no, I'm gonna change that. I don't know why, but it just laid on my heart after I said that to let the single fellas go first. And then we'll let the married men tell us, because theirs has already been written and you guys are still writing yours. So let's hear. We don't have to always go in the same order, right? The question's been tossed at you, so. She's the one. How do you know? Ike or Huck or Jawuan? How do you know?
Huck, do I know?
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
I don't know. Reason being because I've never met the one. I guess you probably wouldn't want the one to get away, so
Ooh,
I don't know yet.
that's a really okay.
I think you know that she's the one, or she's probably high up on the list of being the one when you start accepting things and making all types of concessions that you normally wouldn't make when you're dating somebody. So all of these rules and preconceived notions that you had, oh, I won't accept this or that, I think when you start saying, okay, I'll make this exception right now, I think she's probably getting close to being the one. And that's as close as I've been right now. So.
Well, Jawuan, I could add to your point, but man, you know, me dating in the past and being in past relationships, honestly, sometimes I felt that woman I was dating, she was the one. I was in a relationship, I thought she was the one, but she's not here. So, and you know, at that time she was the one.
Right.
But again, with me, I'm all about taking big risks for big reward. And if I feel like she's 80% of what I want, then I'm going 1 foot forward and the other foot next. You know, just moving forward with that relationship if I feel that she's the one. But again, when entering into a relationship, you just don't know. No one's 100% what you want. And once you commit yourself to that one person, hey, you're going into the unknown. You know where I'm coming from. So once you step in the unknown, hey, that's when the adventure starts.
Wow.
That sounds good. Okay. Well, 5 years of marriage tomorrow for Eric. So as a pre-anniversary.
Anniversary.
Thank you. We met at a gym. Actually, in 2008, the gym would take pictures of you when you join and put your picture on the wall. One day I saw her picture, and that was in 2008, and I had this feeling. So I didn't know, but now I can say I felt. So maybe the question might be, how do you feel, as opposed to what do you know or when do you know? So I felt something then, but I never actually saw her personally or spoke to her until I think it was June 2009. So, and it was a Friday. We were both happened to be off. So then I introduced myself. We had conversation for literally 2 or 3 hours, just standing there in the gym talking. And I knew then, see, I felt first, and then I knew then, this is the one. And within 30 days, I opened another account to save for the ring. It didn't take me 3 years. I didn't have to sleep with her. I didn't have to know what she did for a living, although she told me then that was my wife. And so you know, but you know. I can't tell you how to know. I can't tell you how to feel, but something will come on you, and you'll know that's the one. So just like I know what car I want to drive because I did my research. So then when I see the car, I don't need to know about A, B, and C. I know what it costs. I just need to purchase it. That was it. It's just a done deal. You know, it's a crazy feeling that you almost can't even articulate.
Wow.
Yeah. You really know it. You really know
That's
it.
amazing.
I can't follow up that.
Yeah, that.
I gotta keep my perspective. Wow. See, that's why he's a pastor.
Amazing. That was very well said.
So, my wife and I met. It was a great first day. I got attracted to her because she disagreed with me on this lecture. We were both at this conference, and she had this kind of this goal about her. I was like, "Who do you think you are?" And she was like, "Who do you think you are?" And I was like, you know, we joked that we met having an argument, so we've been arguing ever since. But basically for us, I mean, I have a kind of a different mentality about it, and some maybe watching this may also have this. I personally don't believe in one. And what I mean by that is that I believe that there is a societal and construct, even when I talk about history or religion, marriage is a construct and an organization in which you participate in love and in matrimony, so that right, you can further the vision, you can further you can further society. Meaning that the idea, I think, of the one and these other things came about more recently in the West, the Western cultures, because of our freedom But when I talk to my friends, I travel around the world. I'm in India, I'm in China, I'm in other countries. Marriages are arranged. As a matter of fact, the parents and the others, they come together, and it's all about, okay, does your family fit? Where do they come from? Where do you come from? Because this union we're about to have, this is like, okay, we own a business, you own a business. This is about to become asset joining, family joining, reunion joining. So this is about the legacy of the name and the family legacy. So when I look at it, right, now when I married her, she became the one, period, right? So at the point I married her, she was the one, right? However, in the process for me, it was a little bit different. It was more about, okay, how do we, like, first off, does this even make sense in where I'm going and where you're going? Like the legacy we want to build together, it's that part of the alignment in which we're going for. And so that's more about, we may have more of an Eastern kind of way of thinking about it than a Western way of thinking about it, but that's kind of our thing. Because, I mean, as he would tell you, or most people would tell you in marriage, I mean, there's more what I call organizational business things you have to take care of than you probably want to, right? Than the lovey-dovey and, you know, kissy-kissies. You have those moments. But the everyday minutia is, all right, who's paying the bills, who's taking out the garbage, who's doing this, where we're going, who's going to school, you know. So anyway.
Okay. So there is no one.
My wife is the one now. But at the time, it was like I made a decision, and now she's the one.
It's definitely a different take on things.
Yeah. So, awesome.
Amazing. Well, the next question in this phase is about deal breakers. I know a lot of women wrote in and they wanted to know what happened. We were doing so well. Things were going perfect. But then out of nowhere, calls became text. I'll call you back in 10 minutes became a night. Hear from them in the morning or maybe the afternoon. So what exactly happens, guys, and this is to my single guys, when actively dating becomes inactive?
I'll let you guys go first.
I don't know.
Well,
You know, I mean-
first off, when the liabilities outweigh the assets.
Wow!
You see what I'm saying?
I wasn't
talking
necessarily
about.
looking for
That's
in depth with what's going on, right? But you do have that situation where you're saying, is it worth it to continue with this person, or have we reached a point where there's an impasse and we can't go any further? The chemistry is lost, or you know, this person is being more of a burden on your life than you expected it. And so, you know, everything I do is sort of a cost-benefit analysis. Is it going to hurt me more than it's going to help me? And if it's going to hurt me more than it's going to help me, I don't think that this is something that I want to pursue. And probably a lot of that says, you know, a good deal of how much I care about that person. And so, but if it's early on to be presenting itself as a liability and it's hurting me, then I'm probably going to back off and sort of cut my losses while I'm ahead. And so.
And how exactly do you handle the cutting process?
Well, it can be gradual, or you can sort of sit that person down like a grown man and let that person know, hey, this is what I'm thinking about. What do you think we should do going forward?
And how often does that realistically happen, that you sit that woman down?
In my life?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it hasn't happened often, but as a younger person, I would probably just simply lose contact. But as I became an adult, I wanted to handle things like an adult, and I actually sat down and had that conversation.
That's nice. Okay.
And that's
Maturity
definitely a
and growth.
difference. That's definitely a difference between a boy and a man. Dealing with a man or a kid in that sense.
Right.
With me, like he said, it's what if you're about more risk than reward. I mean, we're dealing with a lot of women. I mean, not myself personally, a lot of women, but dealing with the women at this time as an adult, it's just. A lot of women are straightforward with a lot of things that they want. Like,
Why do you look at me like that?
They want kids. I want a kid. I need you to have a car. I need you to do X, Y, and Z for me.
And do they put that pressure on you like
right away. And you know what? And sometimes, you know, I don't want to hurt her feelings right away. I might be like, okay. It's just like,
feelings
I understand. I try to think about what she's saying. I understand because you know why? Women are getting older and they're not getting any younger, so they don't want to waste any time. Like just like me, I don't want to waste any time too, because time is money, and dealing with dating women costs money.
Yes, it does. You get to save that money once you get married, brother.
Exactly.
No, I need to get married.
So how to cut down your risk? I mean, you really, what I do is listen, and at the end of whatever she's saying, I tell her how I feel. Then hopefully she'll take it in a positive light. I mean, if not, then I try to make the conversation a little bit lighter, or even go straight forward like she did me. But for me, I just and I'm pretty sure the guys can appreciate. We don't like women that's going straight for the kill at all instances. I mean, it's like hunting. It's like it's like dating's like hunting. You gotta really look at your prey and say, all right. It's like you gotta look at it. You want to strike it first because you might not catch it. We want to look at it, make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Then boom, we strike at the right moment. But that's just me.
That's a really good point. I think I can agree. Women, we probably do just need to relax a little bit, enjoy the dating. But I think that the problem, I'll speak of, especially for myself and a few closer friends, that once you start doing things as if you're married, that's when the pressure to get married will really come. So if you're not doing all of these things like this is your husband, then maybe you won't feel that pressure, because I no longer feel like we're joined, so that's probably why the pressure came on, because certain things that shouldn't have been happening yet had already happened. Erica, how about you? What are your deal breakers?
Well, I guess my deal breakers were really, I grew up a church boy, so I have to say it. You had to believe what I believe, not necessarily the way I believe it, or at the level I believe it, or with the intensity I believe it, but you have to believe in this God thing that I believe in. So of course there's this spiritual component, but there's also a look. I mean, put God over here for a moment. I need you to look a certain way, because if I'm not attracted to you, then why am I marrying you?
Preach.
So, if my thing is long hair, that's my thing. If my thing is, I need an education, I need you to have a degree. If I have one, you need something too. So we can both bring money to the table and resources to the table. Those are deal breakers for me if you don't have my ambition. So you need to be almost my reflection. And if you're not, then it's just a deal breaker. You're still a great person. We can be friends, but you're just not for me.
Now, I do have a question for you. As far as being shallow or, anything like that, do you think that when women are praying for a man, they're praying that God brings this, and that? We're so specific in our prayer. Can that be a bad thing, or is that a good thing? Is it like, God, I'm asking you that he has, light skin, tall, nice teeth, broad shoulders. Is that too much? Or dark skin? This is just an example. This isn't my wish list. But is it okay to have a wish list, or do you think that you should be more open in your prayer and just pray for what God has for you?
I believe you should be as specific as possible.
Okay.
Don't just send me a man. No, I need a man with some type of employment that is, he can support the family in case I lose my job. I need a man who doesn't just want to be satisfied in a one bedroom. Be specific. If you want to say dark and lovely and bald and muscular, you can do that. But don't exclude substance, integrity, morality, generosity, spirituality. No, oftentimes we're just very physical and visual.
Okay, that's a good point. Thank you. Okay. David?
I think he hit 90% of it. I think the only thing I would add that was a deal breaker for me was that I dated different girls in different times for my wife. I actually went 4.5 years of complete abstinence, like no sex at all, so I could focus on reading and put my energies in one place. So I was very disciplined about a lot of stuff. So for me, one of the deal breakers for me was that I had a certain vision, right? This is where I felt that I was going, and I was very upfront about it. Like, look, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm about to do. I accomplished most of those things from Wall Street, White House. I did it all. But a lot of women did not, you know, they just kind of saw it as a pipe dream, right? They kind of saw it as, a pipe dream, some did, and some also saw it as cashmere, as a, like, oh, that's too lofty for me, right? So that I knew right away, as soon as they were kind of like discouraging on my dream or whatever it was, I knew it. Now, I wasn't a brother out there that had this dream and wasn't working for it, right? But I had a vision, I had a dream. This is where this ship is headed. I remember a friend telling me like, David, that's too much. I'm like, my ship is headed north. If you going east, you need to find a ship that's going east. This ship is going north. So that was a big deal breaker. So I think I have to go where he was talking about vision. Like if you're not, the beliefs aren't the same and where you're headed, then I don't think it's gonna work. So.
That's a good point. That's it right there. So okay. So then we're going to enter phase 2, which is the let's wait a while phase. So we've all heard that song by Janet Jackson, and I think it very much so remains relevant these days. Devon Franklin and Megan Good brought it back to the world, to more people's attention. The wait. Why we should wait to have sex until we're married. So a lot of guys, you guys wrote letters that they won't wait, and they make it more so, well, if you're really here for me, why won't you share your body with me? I don't feel like we're really, growing to be together if you won't grow with me in this direction. And I just want to hear you all's opinion. Is it okay if you meet a woman and you like her while you're actively dating, but she's like, hey, I'm not having sex with you? Is that a deal breaker for you? Or is that something that you're willing to wait for? Let's talk about it.
Gosh, single brothers first.
Actively dating. Yes, I can wait actively dating because obviously that means there's other people that you're talking to. But if you're in a relationship, it may be a different story. But for me personally, it doesn't really weigh as much because I can have sex with you the first night and I can be friends with you forever, or I could never have sex with you and still be friends with you forever. And that's kind of the case for me right now. So it's like, it depends on the person and how you guys click. So I really wouldn't put a date or a number on it, me personally. So it's kind of how I feel about it.
And what if it's like, okay, I'm ready to go to the next step with this young lady. I mean, like, you guys she's the one in your eyes. Like, she's it. Will her not having sex with you make her no longer it? Does that make sense to me, guys? Like, you're actively dating. So I know if she's not giving you sex, then you'll get it from somebody else. No, the question is, if you're actively dating and you meet a woman and you guys are dating and then you say, okay, I'm ready to no longer date anybody but you. But she remains true to, I'm not having sex until I'm married. Will you still marry her? Can you all still move forward and sex not be an obstacle or a hurdle that you all can't jump over?
I believe it really depends on that guy, because really at the end of the day, it's his decision at this point. Like, either you're gonna stay with her or it's gonna be a discussion like, hey, can we meet halfway, or
what is meeting halfway on not having sex? Explain it.
I mean, there's different levels of intimacy. Okay. I believe, you don't need to have sex to be intimate with somebody.
That's right.
And for instance, you could, it's all up to the relationship, how you want to feel intimacy is appropriate to you. But again, there's different ways how to engage in a relationship, how to engage your woman. And I believe at that point, how much do you love her? How much do you want to really commit to yourself to her? And if you believe that's the one, then you'll do whatever it takes to keep her happy. And for instance, she'll do whatever it takes to keep you happy. Because if you're not a happy camper, you're gonna move wrong, you're gonna get swayed away. You're gonna look a different direction. So at that point, if that woman agrees to, like, if you agree to terms, both of you guys agree to terms, both of you guys gonna do whatever it takes to keep both happy in this one union in the house.
Okay. That's good.
I really can't add anything else to that. I mean, if you guys love each other and you thinking about marriage at that point, you should probably love each other. Then you're gonna do what it takes to stay together. If not, then you're gonna move to the next person. And so I think it's just as simple as that.
Okay.
Well, I can speak from obviously past experience. My wife and I did not have sex before marriage. And
Really? Okay.
yeah, we did not. And so part of that was out of, both of our value systems. But she said something to me that I think actually kind of put the fear of God in me a little bit. She basically said to me, she said, look, I don't want to have sexual intercourse before marriage. It's like my husband. And I think at some point, probably 3 or 4 weeks into dating, whatever, she was like, David, we're both really attracted to each other. And if we do it, we're going to do it again. And we're going to do it again. And we're going to do it again. And then it's over. Right? Because but I think it was more about, it wasn't the sex as much as it was part of her value system. Right? And so I wanted to make sure I was respecting, at least for her, that was her value system. And it was something that was very important to her, right? It was a right and wrong. If you were talking about context, it was a right and wrong for her. Everyone has these right and wrongs, good and bads, things that we believe that are right and wrong, good and bad. For me, believe it or not, I had a value system of like, I'm not saying I love you until I put a ring on your finger. Mm-hmm. And honest to God, I never told my wife I loved her until we did like a year and a half before I got engaged. And then I put a ring on her finger. And for her, that was tough. And she was just like, what do you mean? If you love me, why don't you say it? I'm like, look, that's my thing. I said I love you once, and I didn't like the way it went, and it was it wasn't, and I said I will never say I love you to another woman unless I'm going to marry her. So to me, what you're asking is more about what the value systems are versus it's about sex. Because some people, they don't have that value system. So it's like, it's not bad or wrong to them, but that's it,
Right. So how can they respect something that they don't understand?
That's right.
That makes sense. Okay. And how about you, Eric?
This whole wait a while, can you wait? Is it a deal breaker? It's interesting. I don't have a real feeling about it. You go off your morals, your beliefs, your spiritual foundation, whatever you want to judge that with. I don't quite understand the 90-day rule. The young man was sentenced to 6 months because of rape, and the judge gives him 90 days because he was on good behavior. So if 90 days is all it takes to get good behavior, am I being sentenced to 90 days with a woman on good behavior, and then you'll give me what I'm asking for? And I'm just using 90 days because it's in books and celebrities believe in it. If you were to, and I'm going to be honest, if you're going to tell me 90 days we can have sex, then I'm literally counting the days down. Mm-hmm. So the relationship is not my priority. Just keeping you happy until I get my goal, which comes at 90 days, is what's keeping me happy. Mm-hmm. And if I really, and I'm kind of systematic and I kind of program like a lot of the gentlemen here, if I think, now this is 90 days, I'm not the only man you've dated. Right. And this is the 9th month. You've had sex at least with 3 other men this year. Now you're 35. And if I keep doing the math, and that's not saying how often you did it, but I'm counting the men, I don't want a car with a lot of miles. So I'm thinking about what am I really getting myself into? So be careful with this, let's wait a while, and I gotta give it up to keep them, and just be careful. Just go off your morals, your beliefs, what you feel is right.
Absolutely. Right. That's really good. And ladies, if you are waiting, make sure that you're waiting for the right reason. If you're waiting just to try and trap him or, see if it's not a really good reason and it's not something that's really, I guess, a priority to you, if it's to try and get him to do something, then don't make him wait. You make yourself wait and figure out what it is exactly that you want. So moving forward, we received another question which really spoke about stability, a man's stability and ability to carry a woman. So this question is, do you trust your ability to lead? Can you lead me in this direction, in this relationship? Can I let my guard down? We have a lot of independent ladies in 2016. We buy our own cars, house. We go to work every day, and we're managers and senior leadership, and we refuse to submit to a man because you can't tell us anything. In our minds, we are the man, and that's pretty horrible, but that's the truth. So what do we do with that? When we do finally find a guy, how do we submit to that man? How do we trust that he can handle the finances? Can you lead the family? Are you spiritually in touch? Are you awoke as far as what's happening in the world? So I guess my question to you guys is, how do you let a woman know that, yes, I can lead you and you can put this guard down and trust me?
Well, definitely, with me, I tend to lead by example. One thing I do as a self-presumed leader is, but again, leadership doesn't come from, I think you develop yourself as a leader, and she has to see it first. And so whatever you say, you back up whatever you say. Say, for instance, you're going to be on time, you be on time. You're going to do something for her, you do it. And that just shows leadership from a minor scale, then from the development of the relationship, you show it on a bigger scale as well. But for a woman to presume that you're a leader and you can lead them, they want to make sure that they're safe around you. And one way of keeping the woman safe around you is keeping her heart. Make sure you don't break her heart. Make sure you protect her in public and in the house. Make sure that you're open when it comes down to conversation and when it comes down to even business in some instances. But again, a woman that sees that you're a leader amongst your friends, sees that you're a leader amongst your family, she feels safe. And once a woman feels that she's safe, she'll presume that subdued feeling, like I could here, whatever you want, king, you know. Even though but knowing that she's a queen herself.
Yes.
And that man letting her know her self-worth, like, baby, I need your help as equally as I need your help as well. So if you guys bond as a union, I believe everything will be just fine in a relationship.
Awesome.
Nice eye.
Well, I think that, and my definition of leadership has evolved over the years, but I used to hold a lot of leadership positions.
Yeah.
President of this and that, whatever. And I learned that that's not leadership just because I hold a title. I think that leadership is ultimately service. Are you serving this person? Are you helping this person to grow? Are you helping this person to mature? And is that person doing the same? Then you're leading one another. If you're not doing that, if you're not uplifting that other person, then I just think you're sort of attached to this old definition of what leadership is. And building trust and helping that person feel safe and secure, like Ike spoke about, that's what true leadership is. And once you can do that, I don't think any woman has any problem submitting to somebody who's leading from their heart and wants to see the best for her, and also having God at the head of your life. I think that's a very important thing too.
Yes. Okay.
I think I trust my ability to lead because I've seen it happen before me. From my dad, from my uncles, from anybody around me, they're all were leaders. So I think the role models that you look up to, I think you go to the next level with what they're done, right? What they've done, because you can kind of instill what you learn compared to what they learn and take the family to the next level. And that's kind of how I feel about what I'm doing now. So my father brought us here. All right, now my family's going to get here, and we're going to keep building off of that. So I'm trusted 100%.
Very good. How about you, Eric?
2 days ago, I met with a young man, and he just wanted some questions about life, and he had questions about his marriage, and questions about ministry, and going back to school, and getting another job. And he says, so we talked for about an hour, and he said, so tell me one bit of advice you would give me. And I said, and I sat there for a moment, and I said, go back home and don't do anything until your wife says yes. Because true leadership is we're doing this together. If you come home and you say, I'm going back to school, I'm quitting my job, we're getting another house, we're getting another car, without some type of camaraderie or teamwork or understanding or buy-in, it's not going to work. And he came to me with all these dreams, and I believe he can accomplish them. But true leadership is understanding I can't do this alone. And this big ship really has a small rudder. And unless we're all on the same page, going in the same direction, going north, it's not going to work. So leadership is really understanding I can do it by myself, but I don't want to. So it's come home and make sure everybody in the house is on the same page.
Love that. How about you, David?
You know, it's funny. What he said, I think, is powerful. I mean, I think every woman, you know, has a different level of leadership that they need, right? Depending on the guy that they're with. I think every man here, I mean, him and I were married. I think we would say the style of leadership he employs or has to employ in his household is different from the style of leadership that I have to employ versus when he gets married. Because every woman is different, right? Mm-hmm. They have their different nuances. So you have to like lead them in different ways. So as it's funny you were saying it, because I was thinking about, you know, I think one thing I can actually get better at is that idea of like making sure we're all on the same page and, you know what I'm saying, like that camaraderie is that. Because I definitely am, I'm the guy you call up when it's like, look, this thing is going down ship. Call me in, firefighter, let's go, let's build the ship, let's move it. And so my wife likes that style of leadership, right? You know, she's a professional herself. I've heard a lot of, you know, especially professional women say like, look, when I'm at work, I'm the boss. And when I get home, I don't want to be the boss. I want somebody to boss me around, right? So, you know, in some cases, right? But you know, so it just depends on the style. And I think, you know, you got to know your woman, right? What style do they like? What that, you know, I actually used to be a little bit more kind of, and early in marriage, I was more like, you know, do whatever you want. You know, it's like, cool, like whatever you want to do. And that annoyed the crap out of her, right? And then I was kind of like, okay, we tell you what to do. Awesome. Do this, that, the other. And she likes that. She's like, great. Now I don't have to think about it. Like I just know what the plan is. So everyone is different. And so yeah, I think you have to just find out how to lead them.
Sounds good. Okay. And so next we're gonna move into ain't too proud to beg. So that really just brings us back to when you're dating someone, guys. If you're dating a woman and things are good, but you just keep messing up as far as getting caught with other girls, maybe your phone's ringing or whatever. You just keep messing up, but you're like, baby, trust me. You know, I love you. You're the one. Don't let, you know, don't give up on me now. You know, I'm almost there. When she's leaving you, and you say, all right, well, if you're gonna leave, then it wasn't meant to be anyway, right? But then you have some guys who that fear of losing her makes them not even mess up to begin with. They're like, I'm not even really willing to risk her at all, right? So are you willing to put aside your playerish ways and just commit to her? Like, will you let someone leave that you really love, or if you really love her, would you really fight for her and change your ways?
Not if you're smart. I mean, if you really love this person, you're not going to let them go.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to let your pride stand in the way. Hopefully, if you're a mature man, you know when to sort of put that whole pride and macho thing to the side and say, hey, I'm willing to make concessions and do what it has to take to keep you. Mm-hmm. If I'm not willing to do that, then I probably need to check some things about myself before I think we need to go to another level. So pride is poison when it comes to a relationship, I think.
That's a hashtag for sure. I like that.
For myself, as a younger gentleman, I mean, in undergrad, I was dating her. I didn't know how to really treat a woman. Mm-hmm. So, say if I would go out and just do me at the end of the day, I just know, hey, I have to come back to this woman. Doesn't matter what I do, I have to come back to her. She can't know what I'm doing. You know, that's how it was when I was younger. You know, but now, as a man now, and going through life lessons and knowing how to really treat a woman, I just know at the end of the day, hey, if I'm not gonna do right by her, just don't talk to her at all. Just leave her alone, because being intimate with a woman in all different type of levels, it hurts her feelings. And you don't need that karma in your life.
No, that's leave her alone.
You just don't need that karma in your life. And then from there, you just figure out like, hey, make a decision. When you make a decision, just stick with that decision and say, hey, I'm gonna be faithful to her. It doesn't matter what happens. Baby, I'm here for you. Whatever you need me to do at the end of the day, I'm gonna do it to make you happy. Because once you're happy, I'm happy. Then this is a happy house at the end of the day. But again, making the right decision up front And that's just, you gotta look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, am I gonna be right behind this woman? I'm gonna be that man for her. And once you make the decision, I think everything else will follow.
So, I guess in today's age, I guess guys around my age or anybody's age who deals with social media, they don't beg because it can be perceived a certain way. So if you send a text message like, hey, I miss you, I really want to see you, and somebody screenshot that thing and put it on social media, you know, it just ruins everything, I guess, right? And you're not saving face. So a lot of guys just skip over that part and be like, all right, well, if she don't want to be with me, she don't want to be with me. I'm not going to ask her. I'm not going to do anything more than go above and beyond than what she said, because you're trying to save face, and social media ruins a lot of things because of that, because you're trying to save face, right? And you kind of step away from a lot of things that you really do. So what I would do is, I guess, if I was too big, I would step outside of social media and do it face to face. But obviously that may not be the case sometimes, and as we know, anything on social media can get blown out of proportion immensely.
Okay. And when you say save face, you're speaking of your pride.
Pride.
And as Jawuan said earlier, pride is poison to a relationship.
It is, but then again, you gotta understand, like, you have places you need to go, you got things you need to do, and if obviously we never know what can go viral, right? I'm like, oh, you the guy that did this. And you're like, God damn, I'm at work. You know? Right. So you kind of try to walk that tight, narrow line because you never know. So that's why, I mean, it has something to do with pride, but it has something to do with livelihood too. Because you don't want to go viral.
Right. You don't want everyone to know and care about
right. You don't want, like the cinnamon apple, right? Remember that? Nobody wants to be the cinnamon apple guy. So kind of want to walk that line.
Okay. And how do you feel about this?
I don't feel
social media and relationships.
I think that social media and relationships do not mix at the end of the day. I think that people need to keep their profiles. And if you're gonna bring somebody else into your profile, then I think you're inviting yourself into a Pandora's box of disaster. It shouldn't be that way. Stay off my profile. I'm gonna stay off your profile. Stay out of my cell phone. I'm gonna stay out of your cell phone, because these are my personal areas that I kind of go to retreat and get away from the world. And when your world collides with my world, then we got a problem. So I think that we need to just keep those things separate, and I think the relationship can last a little bit longer.
I kind of disagree with Jawuan. The reason why I disagree with him is because at that point, when you're with that woman that you want to be with, you got all social media platforms is open. At that point, it's open. But but again, when you gotta know that's the woman you want to be with, bro. Like, you gotta know, like, hey, you know, I have to be open with communication. I gotta be transparent. But once you make a decision, once you say I'm gonna be with this woman, everything's open, bro. Everything you did in the past, stop. Erase any criminal evidence against yourself.
Why do I have to do that? I don't think I need to do that.
How can you control you getting a picture at 1 a.m. of somebody that you deal with, and she looked at it? How can you control that? And she's gonna look at you automatically like, so you've been messing around.
No, but if you keep it 100 with her.
So, look, first off, we've never had a social media issue, my wife and I.
Smart.
And we keep she asked me one day, like, oh, I can't post up to your wall. I'm like, yeah, because I don't want you to post up to my wall. Like, but, you know, I mean, it's just, like, I'm going on this side. Like, look, you know, the social media world, you built in college, you built it when you were, it's like, that's your homeboys, your homegirls, you do whatever you do. However, one thing I did do, because my wife, I don't think she understood, I used to tell her, I say, look, honey, you don't understand. Men, we are always being sequestered by women or something, whatever. That's just part of it. And I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. So I started like a week or like 2 weeks straight. I started letting her see the messages I would get on Facebook, LinkedIn, right? Like, oh my gosh, LinkedIn has been, it's like, I'm at a point now where I just like, whatever. I ignore all of that stuff. right? Whether it's some type of sequester for, you know, some club, or it's a sequester for let's meet up, whatever it is, I'm just like, that's just the world I have to live in. And if we didn't build enough trust in our relationship that you know that that's the world I live in, that's the world men live in. Like, ladies, if you think like guys, like we ask for this stuff, no, this is part of being a man. We are constantly on a normal basis being sequestered of something, right? It's part of the man's burden.
Well, what a heavy burden that is to carry. So do you think that if you posted the photo with your wife or with your girlfriend, that will kind of let women know, hey, I am with someone, and maybe you won't get as many requests?
I think I said I digress. Let me tell you something. This thing right here is sometimes worse than like not having. I honestly, God, I've taken my ring off, and I get less propositions than having this ring on. I kid you not. And I will say that honestly. I'm telling you, and many married men will tell you the same thing. Right? Now, my commitment to my wife, right? However, like that is not because you got a lovey-dovey picture up there. There's some woman out there going, oh snap, she thinks she got her, huh? Right? It's just a reality. Yeah.
Okay. That's a good point. Good point. And how do you feel, Eric?
I don't feel you need to change your status because you're dating someone. So it'll say in relationship with. I mean, why? You have just really opened up for an attack.
Yeah.
Either a real one or they're going to create one. You're going to have friends going through everybody's or trying to dig into pictures to see who they know and what school does she go to? There are people who come home from work and their whole opportunity is looking at Facebook, digging and digging, and it's like, what did I do? I thought I was doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Like you said, this is my woman. You opened her up.
Yeah.
You really have to your ex or who is friends with your boy. I mean, it's not necessary. Now, when you get married, you can do it, but you better protect that thing. Social media is, some have said, is demonic.
Yeah.
Because what God has allowed you to forget, all of a sudden comes back to haunt you. What you did in college, and they inbox you. Remember when we were smoking weed, and you're like, oh God. I didn't want to remember that.
Right.
So, blocked. And that whole cell phone thing, I don't think I even know my wife's combination.
No, I don't.
Because it's her phone.
You can receive stuff
I mean, it's just
different ways.
So I'm gonna go through her emails, I'm gonna go through her self. I don't have time for it.
And sometimes I don't even understand when they ask you like, hey, babe, let me see your phone. Why do you need to see my phone for?
But that's the same as let me see your social media.
Exactly.
Because they're
You
going in
don't
with a
need to
certain
have those two
mindset.
worlds intersect because both of those things are your private zones that you would just happen to have on technology. Keep that away from your keep that away from your personal life, and I think you'll last a lot longer that way. That's just my opinion.
And even though you are married, everything else you share, but there are some things that is hers. For instance, my wife has a journal. I don't touch it. She can leave it here. I walk right by it. It's just some things that are just not mine.
And there are some things when you're married, there are some things when you're married that you just don't even want to know. Because the fact that you even know it, it does no value.
I don't care.
Right? It does no value to know certain things.
Yeah.
Like when I was dating, I was like, it's like, what value would it have given me to know her sexual conquest or whatever she did when she was, in freshman year of college? It's like, so some stuff, I think some people, it's like, I just want to know. You just knows what. Like,
I knowing your past is not helping us at all. It's just going to hurt. So I don't need to know what you did. Your past is your past. Our present is our present. Our future is whatever is going to be.
I can care less about your ex. I can care less about him.
If I care about
if you want to bring him up, I guess.
You got a past before you met me. You got a future after. That's what I feel.
Okay, very nice. Okay. Let's go into accepting flaws. So you won't get everything on your wish list, unfortunately. You have to go ahead and go with the flow with a few things, accept the good with the bad, but just make sure that the good outweighs the bad. How do you deal with the bad that you do have to accept? Those nagging flaws that comes with the love of your life or the love that you're choosing to be with right now. Do you think that, those flaws are something that's okay to deal with for a longer period of time, or is that just like, no, I'm not dealing with her flaws, I'm just going to continue to try and change her?
Well, it's gonna be short and brief, but I believe in the 80-20 rule. 80% what I want and 20% I could live with. And that 20% is her flaws. It's everything that I just don't. Man, I hate it. I hate that she does this. Or man, I just wish she did this a little bit better. But that 20% is nothing compared to 80% of what I want. Now, if it's 70-30, I'm like, I have to reevaluate her, you know. But if I get 80% what I want and 20% is like whatever, you know, then I'm okay. I'm content.
Okay.
Look, it comes down to the cost-benefit analysis. Am I willing to live with this?
Yeah.
If I'm not willing to live with this, I gotta cut it short right now because it's not gonna get any better into the future. Whatever are your flaws or your quirks that you have now, when you're 40, 50 years old, you're gonna be so stuck in your ways that you're not gonna change it. And if I don't make the decision whether or not I'm gonna accept that right now, then I might just be left with somebody that I just have to stick with just because I wasted a bunch of time. And I don't wanna do that.
Very good.
Well, yeah, and being married, I mean, you got it right. It's 80-20, and I think I've had to sit down sometimes, and you know, my wife is a wonderful woman, but you have to write down like all the great things about her, right? Because you're just like, okay, yeah, she does do this. She is amazing, right? Because yeah, the flaws sometimes can become overwhelming, because you just it's easy to focus on. It's like, well, you don't do this or you don't do that, or they hurt you in some way, right? So the flaws. I mean, for those who are dating, for sure, like you just gotta know. I mean. And the thing about it, the flaws are going to change. They are going to evolve, right? So, like, I mean, it's the way it is. I've evolved. I mean, I've picked up habits I didn't have before, right? I got new habits that I didn't know existed. I guess they're not new, but I'm aware of them now, right? So, you know, I'm a very messy person. I mean, I'm just, you know, I mean, Kashmir, I hate to say it, I am really messy. I just leave stuff all over the place. And I try to change it. I really do try. But that's what my flaws. And my wife, she deals with it. She's like, okay.
And being a single person, I feel like flaws magnify themselves because I guess since you're not really with that person, you feel like you can always, all right, I can go to this person, they won't have this flaw. So that's kind of where I fall in. Like, you know, this person does this bad, and overlooking all of the good things. So it's kind of, I guess, kind of a reason to why I'm still single, because any flaw I see, it magnifies itself, which I need to kind of step back from and kind of understand that nobody's exactly what you want, heading back to this 80-20 rule. So.
Okay.
So, you know, just pick your battles.
Yeah.
You know, Jennifer moved into my place, and as soon as she came in, oh, we need to paint this and we need to do this, and for a moment I thought she was controlling. And I called my dad. I'm like, she coming in here and she what's wrong with my all white place? I liked it. And he said, let her do what she wants. Just pick your battles. Mm-hmm. Is that a deal breaker, like we talked about earlier? Mm-hmm. You know, it wasn't a flaw. It was just women know how to coordinate, associate things, and make things lively. And I didn't quite get it. So maybe what is a flaw initially now is really not a flaw. We're just not accustomed to someone really being really with us.
Okay. So next we're going to move into meeting the parents. So I'm sure we've all met parents and we feel as women, oh, we met mom or we met dad. That means that we're moving on to the next stage in the relationship. But not always does that mean that. And I think back in the day it may have. But now guys are more open to allowing you to meet parents with absolutely no intention of making this a committed relationship. So let's dig into that. What does that exactly mean?
Well, I'm more traditional, so I don't think that you're going to meet my mom or meet my dad unless we're about to really take our relationship to the next level. Now, you can meet my cousins, you might be able to meet my aunt or something like that, but when you meet my mom or dad, that means something to me. And so I want to keep that sacred just to let us know that our relationship is progressing. If not, then, you're probably not going to get to meet my mom.
Well, for me, sometimes, hey, I want you to meet my parents to like get that final say so from them, really, to move to the next the next step in the relationship. My mom will give me her opinion, like straight up opinion. Like I don't like this gal right now. I don't like her. You know, she'll keep it 100, and my dad keep it 100 with her. You know, like, hey, what are you doing? Like, what do you do with your life? Like, can you take care of my son? Like, what can you do? Can you cook? Can you clean? My dad's real traditional.
Yeah. Really
Nigerian guy, real traditional. So he's like, can you cook, clean? Are you ambitious? You know, like, what could you do for us as a family? And I'm like looking at her like, you gonna answer this? Are you gonna answer his questions? And you know, and from there it's like, okay, am I gonna take it from 10 to 100, or what am I gonna do next? What's my next? What's her role moving forward? But that's really what I look at. I mean, my parents. I mean, I'll tell them straight up like, hey, mom, what do you think about her? Say, you know, I think she should be your friend. I'll take that into consideration, but it doesn't mean that's gonna be the end all say all. You know, when it comes down to a woman. But me and my parents are real cool, and they'll just say they'll keep it 100 with me anytime, just to keep me safe at the end of the day.
Nice. Okay. So far we've heard two different sides of it. This is when you meet mom, this means business, and this one is more so when you meet my parents, I'm just looking for direction.
I feel as if when you meet the parents, it depends on the manner that you meet them. So if you meet my mom at like a barbecue, it's a lot different. Like, hey, this is Cass. But if you meet my mom and we're having a sit-down dinner, that's a whole different ball game. So it depends on the manner that you meet her. I mean, because my mom knows all of my friends, but she doesn't know them in that light either, you know? So it just depends on how you, I guess, approach the situation.
How you're introduced, I guess. Like, if you're introduced as, this is my friend so-and-so, or mom, this is
put on your nice clothes,
my lady,
we're going out tonight.
Right.
You're about to meet somebody.
Nice, okay. What about you?
I guess I'm kind of the same way. Meeting the parents is a privilege. With Jennifer, I didn't know where she lived for about 2 months. I never met her parents for 2 months. I didn't know what kind of car she drive for 2 months. So she would meet me at the restaurant. She would meet, and then, okay, you go first. So I don't want you to see my car. I don't want you to see my driver's license. I don't know you. And the problem is we're dating cuckoos, we're dating weirdos, we're dating psychopaths and don't even realize it. So why bring that person to meet your mother? And then she maybe starts cutting up and says something to you at your mother's house. And then now you got to pick who's right in your mother's house. I mean, we really need to qualify people who have the privilege to come home.
Absolutely.
And then some of us have children. And then when does he get to meet your daughter? At what age or what stage does he qualify to meet? And we're doing it too soon. And so we let them in our bedroom too soon. We let them meet our parents too soon. We bring them to Thanksgiving to act like it's no big deal. It is a big deal. And then when your big cousin want to talk to him, then you get mad at your big cousin. No, you brought him here, and now I'm going to interview him. So we really need to be careful about meeting parents and children, that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think there's wisdom to what he's saying. I think my wife and I, it just happened in the first 3 weeks of us kind of getting to know each other. She had there was some family event or something like that she invited me to with a whole bunch of other folks. And then I had a family reunion that I invited her to with a whole bunch of other folks. So it's kind of like what he was saying. It was kind of like more of a social setting, but it was kind of like, oh, here's my friend. We introduced each other as friends. But I think, you know, the family thing, you got to be very conscious of, like, and that's why I say up front, you got to find out as much as possible what these things mean. I think a lot of women especially assume, they make more assumptions about like what this means. Oh, he said this, he must have meant this, or he said. Usually men like will say what they mean. Like they will say or like express what they mean about something. So if it means a lot for you to meet his parents, he's probably gonna say to you like, hey, you're gonna go meet my mom. This is really important to me that she meets you. And this, you know, he's gonna express some type of importance. But it may be a guy who like like the pastor was saying, like they just may go, oh yeah, here's my mom. Like, you know, mom, here's Felicia's mom. All right, bye.
And you know, and protect your image. Don't even bring every joker to your church.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, because church folk, do we have to talk about church folks?
No, we don't. All about the
They're
church.
like, who is Cashmere with now?
It works for them. It works.
Leave these jokers, leave them at home. They worse than your family. They screenshotting. Leave these jokers at home. Don't bring them to your church. Say, all right. And then come meet the pastor. I don't want to meet him.
Yeah.
Y'all work that thing out, and then when you're serious, then we can continue.
That's a good point. You don't have to take them to church to know how you feel when you're with them, right? God has already given you those red flags or that sign of approval to go ahead and bring him to church with you. But if you're waiting, thinking, oh, if I bring him to church with me, maybe God will give me a sign. Stop lying. God has already given you that sign. You just didn't deny it. So, okay, we have 1 minute left of the show. We're going to allow the guys to ask me a question really quickly. Go for it.
Cashmere, what are you looking for in a man?
How much time do we have?
30 seconds.
Okay. I think what I'm looking for is the male image of myself. I never ask for something that I haven't already acquired myself or that I don't bring to the table. So I want a guy who's financially stable. He needs to be compassionate, generous. He needs to be loving. He needs to love God first and foremost, and then me. He needs to be willing to love me. I want him to know what he wants and be honest and upfront with me. I want us to be able to share each other's phone passcodes. I want us to be able to share each other's social media posts. I don't think that that's a problem if you're not hiding anything. I want him to be a man of integrity, a very smart man. I want him to be ambitious. I want him to want children. He needs to also, just not do too many drugs, pick your poison, but I can deal with alcohol, I can deal with a little bit of smoking, but not too much. And I think also most importantly, he has to have a very good relationship with his mother. I need that, and he needs to see me as his future wife. I mean, he needs to be able to tell me what he wants and be very specific in his wording to me, and be a leader. I love an alpha man. I love a man who's going to tell me this, this, and this. And I need a man with a vision, and I need to be able to feel like I can help him complete his vision.